Hello, everybody out there in Internet land, and welcome to What Does This Button Do? This is an educational show about smartphones and tablets with Geeks On Tour. That's us, and we are broadcasting from our motorhome, which is currently in Denver, Colorado, at an Elks Lodge parking lot. So this is quite an experience. So we are Geeks On Tour. That's us.
Okay, I'm Jim.
And Jim, in case you don't already know, is a computer geek. I'm his wife, Chris.
And she's a geek, too. We're geeks who teach. We've been in computer training since the early 80s. Chris had the first training center in South Florida.
I was just a little girl.
We called ourselves Geeks on Tour because we travel the country by RV. Visit our website at geeksontour.com and you'll find hundreds of video tutorials on topics that we teach.
We do love technology. I think Jim bought the first smartphone available on the Verizon network, and that was a Droid 1 back in 2009, I think. And I got one shortly thereafter. Now we've both gotten new Samsung Galaxy devices, and I feel like we are starting all over again. We also see so many people around us, mostly older folks, who are just starting with this technology, and they need help, and that's what we want to do. We want to be there for the beginners. We think there are so many bells and whistles and fun stuff with this that everybody else likes to talk about that the beginners get forgotten about. So we want to do primarily for the beginners. What we're going to do is organize this show into 4 segments. And the first segment we promise absolutely to be beginning level. We're going to call it Start at the Beginning. And that's for something important to beginners. And in that segment, we will show both Android and iPad. Then I want to show something about my new Samsung Galaxy S5 because I know so many people like me. It must be what Verizon is promoting these days because it seems like everybody just got one. So we're going to have a segment just on what I've learned on the Samsung Galaxy S5, and I'll share that. We'll figure it out together. Then I'm going to let Jim do something. What are you going to do, Jim?
Okay, I'm going to do some apps. An app of the week. So that'll be something that'll be fun, and we'll figure that out as we go along.
And then we will be answering questions. The best place to put a question is in the comments right below this Hangout on our Google Plus page. If you put a question in before the show, then we'll be prepared to answer it, like we do have one today that somebody wrote in earlier. We're going to try to keep this to just about a half hour, so we'll be short and sweet because we're going to do it every week. We've really just wanted an excuse to use this Google Hangouts on air because it's just too cool. So we're using this as an excuse. Besides, you know, I miss you guys. We haven't had a rally in a couple of weeks, and we have about a month before the next one. So I want to have an opportunity to talk with you. And if you want to be a guest on the show, we would love to do that. We're starting off just Jim and me because we need to get comfortable with the technology. This will be recorded, and it'll be available on YouTube afterwards. So, you know, if you can't manage to join us live, no problem. You can watch it later. Anything else we need to just tell them before we get started?
No, let's get started.
Okay. So the first segment is Start at the Beginning. And today, the beginning thing that we want to teach about is like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. There's no button like home. We want to show the home button. First thing you need to know is just what is the home button. So I need that camera. Jim is our cameraman. You'll have to see a picture of all this stuff we have set up in here. And if you know RVs, we only are plugged into 30 amp. Right before, 2 minutes before showtime, our electricity blew. So I wonder why. All right. So first, what is the home button? Now, this is an iPad, and I'm talking about the little round indentation that is a physical button that you can press. That is the home button. In fact, that's how I tell iPhones and iPads from any other mobile device. I look for that little round button. If I see it, I know that the person is working with an iPhone or an iPad rather than an Android.
Okay.
So then, speaking of Android, the normal Android phones don't have a physical button. They just have something that looks like a house printed on the phone down at the bottom. Then the Samsungs, you know, they've been in lots of lawsuits with Apple, right? And I think this is one reason why they copied Apple with having a physical button at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to start with the iPad. And what does the home button do? First of all, if you have a physical home button, it means it can wake it up and put it to sleep. So what do I mean by waking up and putting to sleep? So Jim, to put the iPad to sleep, what do you do?
Okay. The first thing, if you want to put it to sleep, the easiest way is just to push the button, the power button at the top. Push it one time, and the screen goes off. That's a good thing. That saves battery. Now, if you want to turn it back on, you could hit the button at the top there, or you can just hit the home button, and that'll bring the computer up, unlock it, and if you hit the home button again, it will go to the #1 home page.
Okay, so yeah, you can put it to sleep and wake it up both with the power button. In fact, if you look at the documentation, that's called the sleep-wake button. But with the physical round button, you can just press that to wake it up. So now I want you to open Google Maps, for example.
Right.
I think it's on the second or third screen. These are home screens. Now, there's several home screens on these devices if you have several apps like we do.
Okay.
Right on the second one?
Was it there? Here's Google Maps.
Oh, okay. So
Third one.
So let's say that you're
Remember that.
third screen. Okay. So we're on an app. Now, so you've been looking at Google Maps. He's going to get this in focus here. There we go. You're looking at Google Maps, and now you want to do something else. The way you go back to your home screens is press that home button. So you press it once, and it takes you back to the most recent home screen. So this is the one that has Google Maps. Press it again, and it takes you to your #1 home screen. Okay, so that's just pressing the home button once. But did you know that you can press the home button in different ways? So a double press of the home button brings up your most recently used apps. So you could just switch back to Google Maps now. And if you want to go home, you press the home button. And there's one more way to use the home button, and that's to long press. In just a second, that will bring up Siri. Now, what do we mean by long press? You go ahead and do it, Jim.
Okay, long press is just pressing and holding until something happens. And in this case, it's going to bring up Siri. What can I help you with? And how high is Mount Everest?
So it looks like...
How high is Mount... Oh, the microphone's in there.
Oh, she's not... We have the microphone muted because of the way these Hangouts work.
Okay. Now we can try it again. There we go.
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay, I'll ask again. What's the weather... Whoops. What's the weather going to be today?
The weather's looking good today. Up to 95 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
That sounds warm to me.
Yeah, it's already getting hot here in Denver.
And to get away from this, I just press the home button again.
So that's the home button on the iPad. Now give me the iPad back.
Okay.
And the triangle.
And there we go. So now I have Chris's old Droid And to wake it up, I just press the power button that's on top there, unlock it with the pins, and the home button down here is not a hard button. It's a soft button, and it's lit up, and the menu, the home button, the back button, and the search are all on this particular phone. And to get to the main home page, I just press home. If I double tap home, a long press home will bring me to the most recently used apps where I can close them off. Okay, so those are the things that we have on the home button. To get back, it's always touch the home button.
Did you send me another invite?
I did.
While I am rebooting, you can do what I was going to do. And if you use my phone,
All right.
what I like to demonstrate is a reason for using the home button like we've just shown.
Okay.
So let's say that you're on a phone call.
All right.
And on my phone there, if you go to favorites, you can just dial phone call for getting my mom.
All right. Favorites.
And I pick mom because this is her cell phone and she really doesn't have it, so dial her mobile. And all it's going to do is get her answering machine. And this happens. A lot of people do this. They're on a call and they're talking. They say, oh, I need to check my calendar. Well, how do I do that when the phone is up to my ear? So first, you want to put it on speaker so that you can take it away from your ear.
Press 1 for more options. To leave a call
Right?
number,
So now you
press
can be
5.
talking to this person, and I want to check my calendar. So what do you do?
Okay. If you want to get to your home page, you just press the home. Now notice up at the top here, the call is still active up here, and it's been going on for about 40 seconds. And then you want to go to your apps, to find your calendar. And it's right there. You can go in, you can check your calendar, you can check your dates, you can view it by month, day, or week, or agenda, and you can check your calendar, you can put in a new calendar item, and then when you're ready to go back to the phone, you just tap on whoever it was up there, and you can go ahead and continue your conversation. And when you're done,
Now wait a second. So you've checked your calendar and you're still talking, and now you say, well, let's see if Debbie can go. Let's check that email that she sent. So same thing, just press the home, and then you can go to your email and look at email. So this is not just a phone, but while you're on the phone, you can still use all the other stuff. And then the phone call is still waiting for you with the controls up at the top, and you can end call, hang up.
okay. It was really nice talking to your mom.
All right, now, but there's even more with the home button. The double tap. So your phone may or may not do something with the double tap, so just try it and see. I don't think, oh, mine, the Samsung, yes, brings up this thing called S-Voice. But S-Voice is just like Google Now, so we really don't need it. I don't use that. And the long press on my phone brings up this special search, this quick search, which I really like. I'm not sure if this is default on the Samsungs or if it's something I set up. You know, as you play with these phones, you'll run into things. And how do you learn more? Well, on the Samsung, there is a help.
And help is the big question mark. Okay. Tips and guidelines for using your device. There are how-to videos on here.
Watch those videos. They really are cool.
Okay.
And now, how did I find the help about the double tapping?
Okay.
That was. Go ahead.
There's a search up here, and double tap. No results found. What did you search for?
Okay. Well, now we're actually we're done with the home button, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still don't have an invite. I can't get back on. Maybe I'll try it with the other computer.
Okay.
Hi everybody. I am still here. But for some reason, the iPad just does not want to let me back into the Hangout as an individual.
I hate these Apple devices. They are really,
All right.
really a pain.
Something to do with handing it over to Jim. When I handed it over to Jim,
Yeah, you can blame me. It's all my
it
fault
stopped
because
working
as soon
for
as I
me.
touched it broke. So, all right.
So I can go to events. I can watch this event, but I can't join it.
Okay.
So the next thing that we wanted to show is something on the Samsung, and
Okay.
Jim's going to have to show it.
All right.
See, I don't know how anybody does teaching and presentations with just one person. We need each other and our multiple devices. Although maybe we have too many devices. Could that be it?
I think you're trying to do too much with the devices is the main problem.
Nah. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the Samsung Galaxy S5, and it is just way cool. But once again, there are so many bells and whistles and so many cool things, but there's some basic things that you need to know as well. So when I first got mine, one of the things I needed to do is look at my apps, which all came back, by the way, just by giving it my Google account. All my apps that I had on my old phone were there. So you just tap on the apps, and when I first looked at them, they were not alphabetical. I have a lot of apps, and they were just a royal mess. So how do you get them to be in alphabetical order? There's 3 dots up in the upper right, and that 3 dots now has come to mean menu. And one of the options on that menu is View As. And it starts out as custom. Now this could be cool. It means you can make folders and you can rearrange your apps in your All Apps, but right now I just want to look at them alphabetically, so that's the choice. You can view as, you can either choose custom or you can choose alphabetical, and that's how they are. That's something that I know really messes people up when they first get one of these phones. So I think that's a good thing to know. And how did I learn that? I went into help. And your phone probably has help too, even if it's not a Samsung Galaxy. And the useful tips, I think, are just the best. It wants to be on Wi-Fi. We luckily have unlimited data with Verizon, so I can just click OK here. I don't care about being on Wi-Fi. And I'm talking about customizing my phone. So that's this whole section there of customizing.
Customizing your device.
And then under Apps, changing application view. And that's where you learn how. So use help. There's so much to know about these things. We're going to try to remind you about help in every episode.
Okay.
All right. Now it's your turn for real, Jim.
Okay.
Time to show them
The
an
app
app.
of the week. Any idea where my phone went? There it is. So for the app of the week, anybody have these Keyring things, all of these Keyring loyalty cards and places, and and you have them on a Keyring, and what I do is I usually leave them somewhere in the car, and I forget to take them in with me. You can have an app, it's called Keyring, on your computer, on your smartphone, and Keyring is the app that I really want to show you about. I have all of these, I've scanned all of my cards into my phone using the camera and the app, so now I can get weekly sales, look for sales at other options. I have the barcode, they can scan that right at the checkout. There are other things that you can do here. You can add new cards. I usually do that. I probably don't have time to do that right now, but we'll have a video on that for you. You can also have a shopping list in here that you can share with your wife, your spouse, your family, your friends, whatever, and whenever you check something off of yours, it goes through the cloud and it'll check off on the grocery list on their end. It's really a pretty cool way to do things.
Okay, and yeah, I haven't used it much. I find it just as easy when I'm at the checkout counter to give them my phone number and they look up my card from there. But since it's added those grocery lists, and it will give you coupons and specials, it will give you notices, I've installed it. I think I'm going to start using that. It's especially good for travelers because
we're always in different places. And
always at a different store.
Yeah, so Keyring is available at the App Store for Apple devices and on the Google Play Store for Androids. Next week, I'm going to feature my MyCast weather app. That's something that really comes in handy for travelers. You always want to know what the weather is going to be, where you are, and the forecast, and the maps, and the radar, and all that stuff is on there for you. Okay?
Okay. I'm going to go back to that.
Yeah.
So they can see me again.
Yeah, they want to see you.
I can't apparently join the Hangout anymore from my iPad, but I can be looking at it, and I see that we do have some comments I want to mention. So Fred asked, do we prefer the S5 or the Droids? Well, I don't know about the new Droids. I mean, why did you end up buying a new phone, Jim?
Well, the reason I bought a new phone is the battery no longer would keep a charge. And the battery in my Motorola phone was not removable. Just like in all of the iPhones, you can't remove the battery and replace it. So I decided that with my new phone, I was going to make sure that I would have a way to get to the battery to be able to replace it. If I didn't need a new battery in the old phone, I probably could have kept it for a while longer. It was still working, and it was updated, and it was, everything was fine. I just couldn't use it without being plugged in. So that was a real problem.
My Droid Razr was just really slowing down. I was getting ready to wipe it out completely.
That's a feature.
Yeah. I mean, I was just getting errors all the time, and just things just didn't work good. I wanted a new phone, that's the way they go. And the phone that Verizon was selling was the Samsung Galaxy S5, and so far I love it. The Google Voice feature works so well. And what I'm talking about is just saying, OK, Google, when you're on the home screen of your phone, a Samsung Galaxy S5 anyway, if you see the little Google search box, you can just say, OK, Google, and ask a question, and it answers so quickly. I love that. We did have one question that was entered into the comments on this during the week last week, so we got to prepare, because the question was, how do I print the calendar from my iPad? And I have no idea. I've never needed to print the calendar from our iPad, and I looked, and it is a little bit tricky, so we did some research and made a video, so we're going to show you that video now.
question is, how do you print from iPad Calendar? And I can see, if I go to iPad Calendar, I don't see any menu option. There's plus, that's add an event. I don't see any menu option for printing, so I'm going to search and see to find that answer. I'll go to Safari. I will Google for print. So there's discussions on Apple. That looks good. Apple support. Let's see what they say. This person says take a screenshot. I like that. I don't think that's what they want, though. An app called CalPrint. All right. CalPrint looks like the right solution. So they say CalPrint works great, so let's go get CalPrint. You do that in the App Store. And then I'll search for CalPrint. And it's $1.99. I think I can afford that. You tap right where it says $1.99, tap buy. You need to know your Apple ID password. And it is now, when that circle starts going around, you know it's downloading. Access my calendar. There's a little print icon. Now we have to have the right printer. Okay, so now before you can print anything, you need to have a printer and the iPad on the same network. So I'm going into settings and making sure that the iPad is connected to the Wi-Fi hotspot called geeksontour.ppt, which is our internal network. I know that the printer, the wireless printer, is also on that network. So let's try it. Secondly, you can't go to Calendar. You need to go to the CalPrint. So I'm going to swipe down and search for CalPrint. There it is. And then choose what you want to print, either day, week, month, or list. I'm going to choose month. And now the little printer icon is up in the upper right-hand corner. And you might need to try a couple different settings. I just chose the PS type, which I believe is PostScript. And I can preview and see that it is showing a little icon of the calendar view and say, yeah, okay, go ahead, print. It says it's connected to the printer. I hear something coming out of the printer. And we'll take a look. And there it is. Printed calendar from the iPad using the CalPrint app and a wireless printer on the same network.
Okay.
All right, so I learned something because of that question. You know, if you really want to learn something, we tell people this all the time. If you really want to learn something, teach it. It's when people ask you those questions and you have to figure it out that you really learn. Now, the obvious next question after that printing a calendar is, what about printing anything else? I mean, does it really have to be that difficult? Do you have to get an app for everything? No, so I made another video then on just how to print from anything in the iPad, and it's very easy if you have an AirPrint capable printer. Ours is not, so I had to do something else, and that video is on our member website, geeksontour.com, tutorial videos. If you want to know how to print from an iPad or an iPhone, that video is there now. And we'll be, making lots more videos based on your questions on this weekly show.
Okay. I'm going to just do one more thing here.
Okay.
And
we are determined to get practice on this because this is the coolest platform for doing teaching online. But there's a lot of little pieces, and we will get better at this.
okay.
We want practice makes perfect.
But did you learn something?
So I have some review questions here. We might even in the future have some quizzes that you can take and get graded, but this is just kind of review questions. So if you have a physical home button on your device and it's asleep, how can you wake it up? You can wake it up just by pressing that button. What does long press mean?
I know.
Yeah? Yeah.
It's pressing and holding the button down for a long press.
It's not even just buttons, though. You'll see in later weeks of this show, we'll be showing you all sorts of things you can do with long press.
And do you have a pile of those grocery store loyalty cards? What app can help for that?
I know. It's called Keyring, and it is available on both. It's free, right? And
Yeah.
it is available on both Apple and Android devices.
Okay.
And then last but not least, if you do happen to have a Samsung Galaxy S5, how do you alphabetize your apps? You go into, how did I do it? Oh yeah, you go into your All Apps, find the menu, which is those three little dots, choose View Apps As, and then choose alphabetical. All right, and please do leave some comments, ask some questions for next week. Next week I'm going to be in Florida and Jim's still going to be here in Colorado, so that's really going to be interesting. In the beginner's corner next week, we will be talking about some of the settings and the settings that affect when your device goes to sleep and wakes up and when it gets locked or not.
Okay. Leave your questions here in the comments, and we'll try and either make a video on your question or just address it live as we're in this show. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next week on What Does This Button Do?
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jim.
And we're Geeks on Tour.
Okay.